Hey guys, Banana Luck here. Welcome back to another Watcher Realms video. We have yet another new hero that's coming up soon, and we're back on the test server today, and we're gonna talk about this new unit. It's a new fighter, and I think for the very first time, we might have gotten a unit that was made specifically for GvG. Now, we had a lot of units that were power creeps in GvG. We had Earlis, we had Catgrim, we had Nurture, but those units are still usable in many other areas of the game. Now, this new unit, it looks like what the devs did was they basically built this unit around GvG by making the skill kit specifically different when it comes to GvG. And I think that's a very big change. I welcome that because we have many units like Eloin, like Pier, where they can't actually summon their spawns, which is an essential part of the kit, which makes them not as useful for content like GvG, which they could otherwise shine very well in. So this could be a start to more units being built differently for GvG in their skill kit and whatnot. We already had one of this in like Crowdor. So if you guys see Crowdor under North Throne, then we have where was he? Right over here. He actually has a passive in gear rate and artifact rate during the ultimate. Increases the block of all Northerner Defender allies on the field by 1. So I hope we have more of such perks moving up so that we know that these units are specifically for what kind of content. But that's enough of me yapping. Let's get into it. So the new hero that we have is Dane. So it's a mecha looking unit. AoE physical attack, he's a fighter, range boost, strong crowd control, anti-healing as well as anti-air. So not very common these days where we get units that are fighters that can hit both air and ground. So this is of course a welcoming sight. He is a fighter, 18 cost, and he has a very funky range. So this is essentially what you have in a normal fighter, but instead he has one blank cell in front of him. He doesn't hit units beside him, so you're definitely gonna put him quite far backwards compared to the other units that we have. And if let's say we compare this to like Wukong, for example, sorry, not Wukong, maybe Adrian, then you can see the range. Okay, maybe Adrian is a bad example as well. Let's use a normal AoE fighter. Okay, maybe Leikan. So yeah. So you have like that 3 tile forward. But with Dane, it's different. You have one space, 3 tile forwards, and then one more at the front. So this is gonna unlock a lot of positions for him because he's very specifically made to be placed at the back lines, which is not very usual. And then we have his base stat, 17k HP, that's about average. 4.8k attack, slightly above average. Of course, not fighting Wukong or Kigiri, but I think for AoE fighter, that's pretty decent. And then the rest of the stuff is pretty standard. And let's now take a look at his skills. So first of all, talent. Hero gains 1 stack of cyclic rate with each basic attack. So each stack of cyclic rate increases the rage regen by 8%. So this maxes out 12 stacks, right? So it maxes out at 96%. And then the attack interval is reduced by a maximum of 24%. At max stacks, gaining cyclic rate again restores 2% rage to the hero instead. And we'll talk more about this when we get to the ultimate, how this is synergistic. Yeah. Basic attack deals 120% damage to 1 enemy, and then 30% AoE damage to 5 enemies around them, prioritizing airborne targets. So same range as what we saw earlier. And first passive, Rain of Fire. After every 7 basic attacks, fires a burst of bullet rain around the target, lasting for 4 seconds, and deals 100% damage up to 5 targets in range per second, inflicts slow of 50% for 0.1 seconds. That's interesting. And it increases the hero's damage against the enemies in the bullet rain by 50%. So that's every 7 basic attacks. And I'm not sure what they're cooking here with this 0.1 second slow. Like, it's the slow just going to be for the time where Rain of Fire is active. That's why they made it such that, you know, it's only 0.1 seconds, so it just keeps re-triggering. Or is it really just 0.1 seconds every 1 second? Then I'm not sure what this is meant to do, but we'll test it out later and see how he works out. And then last passive, when an allied hero is deployed, reduces the hero's cost by 1, increases his attack by 5% after deployment, stacking up to 5 times. So it means that the more heroes you deploy before him, the more of this stacks he actually gets. And in Guild War, the hero gains full stacks of attack increase immediately upon deployment, and the attack increase gain is doubled. So we are getting, what, 50% attack increase on him, which is huge. And this is instant in GvG. Now, this was what I was talking about. Having a hero with a specific skill kit that is designed around GvG. Now, normally when you get this kit without this last paragraph here, what will happen is that the unit just doesn't benefit from the passive at all. But in Dane's case, they made it the reverse, where because he's in GvG, he gets not just the max stack, but double the stacks from what we normally get. So that's a very nice change, and it's probably going to open up a lot of more units that are going to be more specific in different modes, other than the Arbiters and Chaotix having that specific arena boost. Now, Ultimate Auto, 400 rage cost, starts at 0, consumes all stacks of Cyclic Red, and fires high-powered explosives to the target with the highest max HP in rage. So after he fires it detonates after 2 seconds, dealing 800% damage to the main target and 200% damage up to 5 adjacent enemies. So it's basically a much stronger version of the basic attack. I wouldn't say it's like Bullet Rain. And if, let's say, this synergizes with Bullet Rain, then yeah, he is going to be doing quite a lot more damage with the execution protocol. And then what else is there? Damage enemies are inflicted with stun for 1 second and anti-healing for 5 seconds. So I'm very interested to find out how fast this ultimate comes back, because we do have to bear in mind that with the talent, at max stacks he gains cyclic rate again to restore 2% rage. So what I'm wondering is whether this can somehow be strong enough such that, you know, you basically gain that 2% rage in between the next ultimates and then rapidly cast this to always inflict the anti-heal. But we need to test it out because he resets the stacks, so your rage regen and everything goes back to 0 again, and you can't maintain cyclic rate for too long because once you get the max stacks, you will just keep getting rage, and you know, you get the 400 rage back in no time basically. Okay, now enough of me yapping, let's move on to his awakenings. A1, Rain of Fire inflicts 20% physical damage vulnerability on enemies, and the hero gains 2 stacks of cyclic rate when attacking enemies affected by Rain of Fire. So this is one of the other areas where he'll get that higher ultimate uptime, because Rain of Fire basically triggers quite a fair bit. I can imagine that, you know, when you have his attack speed maxed out, you can pretty much keep Rain of Fire almost on 100% uptime, because his attack interval is not too high. It's at 2.4 seconds. With the attack interval reduction and everything, there is a very high chance that Rain of Fire could have 100% uptime. Now A2, that's extra flat attack. A3, this is in my opinion the biggest awakening he has. Ultimate no longer consumes cyclic rate stacks. So this would essentially make him always having that, you know, 96% extra rage regen, 24% extra interval reduction, and yeah, he will basically just keep on, you know, gaining the rage regen to, you know, keep on putting out the ultimates. And don't forget we have the A1 as well, right? Every time he does Rain of Fire, he's gonna get 2 stacks of cyclic rage. So with this, every time he does Rain of Fire, he's gonna get 4% rage back immediately. A5, extra penetration, pretty standard for a unit like him. And then A4. A5, when casting the ultimate, immediately triggers Rain of Fire 1 time for free. So, question I have here is, does Rain of Fire execute before execution protocol? Because if let's say you get that, then this is essentially not just a 4% extra rage, but you are gonna always get that extra 50% damage with the ultimate. So very clearly, this guy is built very well for GvG, obviously, from the way that things are. Gonna be very good with anti-swarm, and gonna be very strong against the grotesque fiends as well. If at A3 you can constantly, you know, get the anti-heal hub at 100% uptime, because yeah, I don't think any other unit can keep it up as well as him. And not to forget, he has stun in his kit as well. So yeah, that's Dane, that's his skill kit. Now we're gonna be doing some mechanics testing, and then we're also gonna proceed to, you know, test him out in GvG. Now, the fact that his ultimate is auto makes him probably useless in Matrix, because you're not going to be able to control his ultimate at all, and that's going to be way too much stats in Matrix. But I'll be interested to find out whether there's any other areas of the game that we can use him. Potentially Arena? Matrix? I'm not sure. But definitely they're cooking something with this guy. It's for the first time we have someone that's built up for GvG. He has no exclusive artifact. I've checked that. Normally they send that out. And yeah, let's get into it without further ado. Alright, so we'll be testing some basic mechanics here just to see how everything looks like for Dane in terms of his skills, how do they all complement each other. So first of all, let's take a look at what is considered a basic hit from his kit. If I had to guess, the ultimate, which is execution protocol, as well as Rain of Fire, both of this won't count as basic attacks, obviously. And yeah, let's in and have a quick look. We have Volca as the litmus test once again. So if any of the hits do lifesteal, that means they count as a basic hit. If not, they don't. So we'll put him down first, Earless, and then let's do Volca. We'll do Volca facing back. So obviously the basic hits here are gonna count. But let's see what the Rain of Fire does. So if the tick of damage from Rain of Fire comes up and there's no lifesteal, then you know that, you know, it's not a basic hit. So yeah, 1, 2, 2, that's a basic hit. It's a basic hit, but the Rain of Fire doesn't seem to be giving the lifesteal. 1, 2, 2, and the 71. Oh, the 71 actually counts as a basic hit. So it means Rain of Fire actually works out for him. And with the ultimate there, another instance of lifesteal here. Only one tick despite having 2 hits, so if I had to guess, the ultimate doesn't count. But it's quite interesting that Rain of Fire actually counts as a basic attack. So yeah, 1 tick of lifesteal, and then another tick from the Rain of Fire. 1 more hit. I can see the lifesteal, and then another one coming along. So that's interesting. Now, next thing I want to focus on is to see if the Rain of Fire actually amplifies the ultimate damage. Now, this one is a bit hard to tell. But yeah, let's see whether he does an ultimate here, and then we'll track the damage. It's going to be on the down phase, so it's not going to be that helpful. We saw 1.4 million hit there. And you can see his basic hits go for 189 with the ultimate. And let's say without the Rain of Fire, then it goes for, much lower at about 130. So yeah, 732k, that's the normal attack. Sorry, the normal ultimate without Rain of Fire. Now let's see if we get lucky here with a proc that shows it with the Rain of Fire. Because, yeah, it's quite hard to get all these skills proccing out together. A0, so 732, that's a normal one. I want to see whether it changes when we do the ultimate with the... there. But yeah, it's gonna take some time to line up. It's only towards the later part of the run where it lines up together. So that's from the down phase. It does 1.2 million, so not as consistent. We have the Rain of Fire here, and the ultimate. Let's see if it procs together. I doubt it because the ultimate animation is so damn long. Yeah, see Rain of Fire is over, so we can probably see 732. Yeah, same as earlier. Continue on. We'll get lucky. Rain of Fire is still on. If the proc happens in a bit here, 732k. So I don't know. The Rain of Fire ended just as it popped. So we're gonna have to wait for a bit more here. Okay, this might be the one. 854k. Okay. So we have confirmation that the Rain of Fire amplifies not just the basic hits, as well as the ultimate explosion as well. So definitely the A5 is going to be a huge one, which I will take a closer look at later. But yeah, that's all you need to know about him at the base level. But as you can see, in just 3 minutes of us toggling around, it is very hard to line up Rain of Fire with the ultimate with just him at A0. It definitely does not work out that simply. Okay, so let's move on to the A3 now. I want to see whether he gets, much higher uptime. So we're going to swap him out. A3. So what are we getting from this Awakenings? Before we jump into the test, let's just briefly look at it again. So first of all, with A1, we get the extra vulnerability of physical damage. You gain 2 stacks of cyclic rate when attacking enemies affected by Rain of Fire. So A1 is going to make his uptime much higher. But what we want to really care about is A3 here, where you no longer consume any cyclic rate stacks. So it means that this guy is going to be perpetually on steroids with the 96% rate regen, 24% lower attack interval. So yeah, I'm going to place him down again. So we're doing more damage obviously with the A2. And then with Rain of Fire, you can see damage went up to 153k. So it's actually a fair bit higher. Another Rain of Fire here, probably. Yep, 250k. I think the proc blast here will happen in line with that. And we're going to expect a much higher damage because of 1.1 million almost. 2 things here. First thing is the vulnerability from A1. We also have the A2 with the flat stats that's extra. And then on top of all that, we also have the Rain of Fire proccing much more often now because his attack interval is always going to be reduced with the 12 stacks that you see here. So you can see that as the indicator. And yeah. He is also going to perpetually be on Health Lament with the ultimate on. So he's casting his ultimate here at 420. Let's see when the next one comes in. My guess is that it's going to be in less than 20 seconds. Because of how fast the attack speed and rate regen is. And you can see 408. So every 12 seconds, we'll be getting one ultimate from him. And you can see that Rain of Fire just keeps on proccing because of how high his attack speed is. And let's see as well how much damage, how much rage regen he's getting per hit. The amplified, rage regen. 1 hit, and I think that was about 20 or more rage together, all in. So yeah, for sure, A3 is gonna be a very big spike for this guy, but wait till we see the A5. Now, we've seen how Rain of Fire amplifies every single thing about him. So with A5, what it's gonna do is that, let's bring him in. A5, swap things around. So other than the penetration that we get at A4, we are also going to get additional stuff here. Okay. So at A5, before you cast the ultimate, you'll always trigger a Rain of Fire. And you have to remember that the ultimate, the high power explosive, it only detonates after 2 seconds. So if you have A5, it's gonna always guarantee that the high power explosive comes at the same time with, the Rain of Fire proc, which is huge. And yeah, more Rain of Fire means more damage for this guy. So we're gonna put him down once again here. Earless. The damage is the same. I'm guessing penetration doesn't really do much. With this, the ultimate stack. Let's see here, there we go. Proc, and then he fires. And we're gonna probably see the 1 million plus damage again. Exact same one, because penetration doesn't really matter that much on Guild Boss 1. Just waiting. Yeah, 1.07, more or less the same. If I can be really honest, I think A3 is good enough. You don't really have to go for the A5, especially if you're looking at content where you want to, leverage on his explosions a lot more. But in that test that you saw there with this setup with Earless, we were seeing an ultimate every 12 seconds. So it is probably going to be very hard to get the anti-heal to proc as often as you want it to be to get to that 100% anti-heal uptime. But it's still a very good awakening for him, especially if you look at it from the damage perspective. He's just getting way more Rain of Fire. So yeah, that's all the mechanics testing that I wanted to do with Dane. And yeah, let's get into the other bits of content here and see what else can he do. Alright, so the thing that Dane was built for and recommended for in the dev notes was that he is built for GvG. So obviously we're going to test him out here. We're going to be running a Watcher's team. He is a fighter, so this is the position that we found him to be. I know that Ingrid is not in a good position because the archers can take her out, but just bear with me here. We're just doing a test to see if this guy can put out enough damage to stop the classic Grotesque Fiend that we all are so familiar with at the moment. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to use the Slaughter Lord, level 9 Grotesque Fiend, and then the rest of the setup is more or less the same. So let's get in. And I already have an auto setup here. And we have about 130k A5 lot BP on most of these units here. Gonna come up with the Slaughter first, just to tank the ultimates, get everything out, and then afterwards we're gonna put the Grotesque Fiend in. So obviously that guy is gonna die in a bit. It's fine. Getting the rest of the units in. We also have the full setup there nicely, which is great. And then we have all the KFC fat. You can see the anti-heal was lining up very nicely there. I actually managed to take out the Grotesque Fiend in time. Now that was possibly a lucky shot where, things just all came into place. I can see Grim still dies because of the fact that, you know, there was too much damage already been taken in the first place. From here, we'll probably be able to clear through the thing still. There you go. So yeah, let's see what Dane does in terms of damage here. Not too shabby. I was expecting him to do a lot lesser damage, but for some reason at A0, he is going toe-to-toe with a nurture here. And bear in mind, my nurture is A3 in this test, so yeah, at A0, this guy is doing quite a chunk of damage already. Now, let's swap things around a bit here. We said that the anti-heal was lucky there, it killed the Grotesque Fiend, but the second one still finished the job. What if we brought Dane to A3 instead? Now, will we still see the same results? Probably not, because you saw how consistent the Rain of Fire and the Rage Regen was. So let's put it into the test here. A3 Dane. Swap things around. And yeah, let's see what this guy can do. So, whoops, wrong Dane. This is the one that we want in there. And we'll put him at the back here again. We're probably gonna see the GvG map built around this guy because he has a very unique range. One that really takes advantage of the fact that, you know, many of the fighters can only hit 2 tiles or 3 tiles in front of him. This guy can do 4 tiles in front of him. So yeah. Okay, same exact test. Let's see how he fares now. My guess is that everything is just gonna die way faster. So I'm gonna do this first, and don't forget his A1 also gives that extra vulnerability on physical damage. So it's gonna make Nurtra do a lot more damage to the Slaughter Lord here. There you go. Yeah, the ultimate uptime is definitely much more on par here. And yeah, the Rain of Fire is dealing a lot of damage to the guys at the back. You can see the explosion actually killed off the anti-heal. And yeah, the Fiend couldn't actually do anything on time. Now, it could be a lucky shot. We can see this happening again. So the anti-heal is going to kick in here. And yeah, he goes right into his ultimate there. Yeah, everything just dies and we can't really do anything beyond that. So we'll leave the run here. Obviously, this guy is very good against the Grotesque Fiend, but he kind of need the A3 for him to ramp up quickly. So you can see damage is significantly higher here, 39 million. And obviously, that's with an A3 Dane. Much higher Rage Regen, much higher Rain of Fire uptime. And if we just run the auto again to see if, you know, things were just not in our favor earlier, we can see then again how this team works out. So you can see 100 high 120s and 130k BP. So a fairly average test, I'll say. Not something that's super extraordinary. Gonna die the first time here. There you go. Yeah, Grotesque Fiend gets fed up. And yeah, this time around he manages to heal back. So let's see how that impacts the run. Yup. Yeah, so even an A3 there is still a chance for him to flop. There you go. So maybe that was a lucky run. And yeah, because of that, we do lose out this round. But for sure at a3, it does make him quite a menace there because the anti-heal is just a lot better in terms of the uptime. And yeah, I don't think a5 makes much of a difference if we want to take a look at GvG specifically. And once again, that also could be a chance that if, let's say, we build him with a rage regen build, that anti-heal uptime is going to definitely be a lot higher. But at least from the testing that we did earlier in Guild Boss, we could see that, you know, once he reaches a3, it was 12 seconds per ultimate. But it's still not high enough to be a consistent uptime. But he does do quite a fair bit of damage. And I'll say that his GvG potential is definitely there. My gear is also definitely not the best here. So if, let's say, Catgrim had maybe higher awakenings or, you know, better gear, he could be doing a lot better than what we see here. But Dane is definitely up there when it comes to GvG potential. So yeah. Alright, so that's it for the video. I do want to test out Dane in other pieces of content, but I do not want to make this video super long. So I'm going to do that in a separate video. But yeah, that's Dane. Very promising unit. And the very first unit that we get that, you know, is a specialist in GvG. He has a very simple skill kit, if I can be honest, with a cyclic rate giving him extra rage regen, reduced interval, and the ultimate doing the anti-heal and burst, and then we also get the rain of fire amplifying his damage. But if I can be really honest, if you want to use this guy, you kind of need a3 for him to do really well in. I think at a0 for GvG, he's not going to be as effective as what you would like him to be. But once again, GvG is Kraken territory, so is it that bad for him to require a3? I don't think so, but I do think that the anti-heal uptime is not as optimal, you know, when you're using him in only just a GvG at a0. We might want to explore if this guy is going to be any good in other pieces of content. Because at the end of the day, this guy does not have any execute like what we've been seeing very frequently. His main kit is really just the damage amplification for himself. At a1, he provides it to other teammates. And then at a3, you're just going to get a very high uptime for the explosive, high power explosive, which does anti-healing as well as stun at the same time. So yeah, that's gonna be it for the video. Thanks for tuning in. If there's anything else that you want me to test in the video, let me know down in the comment section below. Maybe it will come with a follow-up video where we explore where else can Kayn be actually used. So yeah, see you in the next one. Goodbye, and leave a like or subscribe if you enjoyed it.